they were chit-chatting. Kim pulls off. 2 minutes later, Tammy calls her and says, I think I've broken my ankle. Oh. Kim turns around and goes back. So there was a lot of moaning, groaning in the background. Last time I talked to Kim, they were waiting on the ambulance. Kim said it's visibly you could tell there was something seriously wrong. So thoughts and prayers with Tammy today. And just without David Snap here, Jason Tuttle here, and Kim, we are really like, and thank you for, Steve Douglas and everybody else is pitching in to help out today. So I'm going to turn it over to Jen for our opening prayer.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to do this. Let's all bow our heads. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the beautiful weather that you've sent our way, Lord, for heading us into spring. I know we all appreciate the warmer temperatures. And Lord, I just thank you so much for the opportunity that you've given us to come together as a community and as a group to serve and to help those people around us. And Father, I just ask that you would be with Amy and with Kim as she's facing this difficult situation, Lord, that you would just help to heal her. And Lord, just give us all a heart that's open to serving you and helping others. And we also want to thank you for the people that are here today that help prepare the meals and for this building that we get to use. And Father, we just thank you most of all for the gift of your Son, Jesus. In his name we pray. Amen. Amen.
You will join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll turn it over to Tom and Joseph.
Yeah, this is Joseph's day today.
That's good.
With Joseph Walker's fine help, let's sing all the
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Joseph. I don't have my slideshow going in the right direction. Visiting Rotarians today. I know you will probably introduce when they're speakers, but if you'd like to go ahead, Joseph.
We're delighted to have this in Rotarians today. We have Nancy and John Revell, and we have Tom Fitzgerald. Welcome.
And do we have any guests of Rotarians today?
For the 260.
Kim Shields with Cross Ties. They're going to be doing the bartending for the event.
Kim, good afternoon. Are there any other visitors?
Yes, I have my good friend Adam Leisure here with me again today. He's got his application to turn in to become a member.
Okay, did we cover everybody? All right. Okay, there is a lot in your bulletin. There was a lot scrolling through the slides. I do want to point out we do have a board meeting tonight on Zoom, 5:15. So board members, you should have gotten an email last night with that Zoom link. Also, the Chamber Coffee Connections is tomorrow at the Country Club. So everybody that can, please come out and join the Chamber for that. And I've got Pancake Day up here, but Dave, did you want to mention that?
Two things I'd like to tell you. This is the last time I mentioned Pancake Day. It's at the church next Tuesday. All three meals, all the proceeds go to Meals on Wheels and CC. I'd like, with Roger's permission, I think he's on, online, to tell you the latest on Roger's been struggling. He, had a flare-up of his lymphoma. Last week, he had 3 IV treatments. He had one again on Monday. He's also receiving some IV fluids. So it's down that he really does need a stem cell transplant. Most of you over the course of time have heard of bone marrow transplant. That is not what he's going to have. Hopefully he'll be approved to have a blood transplant. It needs to be approved by the VA. He went to the VA yesterday. The 2 oncologists, hematologists there were very optimistic that he would be approved. They drew 19 vials of blood yesterday. He's got to pass a dental exam, which he'll pass, a psychological exam, which I echocardiogram, and a breathing test, all to make sure that he's a candidate. They think that he is. It's not age-related. It's not pleasant. They will take a blood sample and they run it through, it's beyond my pay grade, but they'll remove all the cancer cells and get back to the stem cells, which is a cell that has not been differentiated yet into a blood cell. Then when they get a pack of those stem cells, he'll go back in and they'll take his blood, run it through a filter, kill off the cancer cells, and give him the stem cells. Usually, you're in the hospital anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. You may need transfusions, you may need platelet transfusion. It may work. If it does, it will be a wonderful thing for you. So I ask for your support and prayers. It'll be tough. I hope you'll be approved. After they get all this done locally, it has to be approved by the VA in Nashville, Tennessee. But they think that he'll be able to have it done in Baptist, which will be a lot more convenient. So I had his permission to tell you that. So keep me in prayer. Thanks.
Thank you, Dave. And I should have brought you the microphone. I didn't think about doing it. So, Roger, you may not have heard all of that on Zoom, but Dave Williams just gave us a full update. The only test that you were facing that he called into question was the psychological test. He's a little concerned about the friends you choose. So, Roger, all of our thoughts and prayers are with you, and we're glad you're joining us on Zoom today. Other things, please mark the calendars for the Kentucky Derby. That's going to be May 3rd. We have had a change of venue on that. That will be held right here at our Thomasville Women's Club. So please mark your calendars and plan to attend. Also, next week on Tuesday evening is our Women in Rotary event. Dana, you want to make an announcement about that?
Yeah, in our email, it said that it was going to be at Synergy Massage and Spa. It is actually going to be at Renew Integrated, 32 Trade Street. So if anybody wants to come, women, we don't care if men come too, it's for women. But we're going to be, me and Jennifer are teaming up, and we're going to be talking about the things that she does at Renew and then what we do at Synergy.
All right, and thank you, Dana, for you guys pulling together and getting the Women in Rotary event scheduled for us. We look forward to that. And then Communities and Schools has their pot of gold gala coming up. And again, there are turn board announcements in your bulletin. Please make sure you guys take a look at that. And Heather, are you coming up to do split the pot? Was that? Was you? Okay. My brain's not completely focused today.
Okay. So, we have 45 cards. For today's total, you got it at $540. So I'll get a non-player to get the tickets. The winner. Let's see. All right, so the last, three is 564.
Close.
And on the Derby, we're meeting today after lunch for the food committee. If anybody wants to be on the committee, just.
Perfect, thank you. So for those of you who may not have heard that, the food committee for the Kentucky Derby, planning is meeting right after Rotary today. Anybody interested or anybody that's already on that committee, please catch up with Heather right after the meeting. And now, I'm gonna turn it over to Joseph to wait a minute. And I told anybody that when I miss things, please raise your hand, stand up, and let me know. So first of all, the C.A.R.T buckets are on the tables today. Please give your contributions to C.A.R.T. We have raised over $1,000 in the C.A.R.T buckets so far this year. We'll be sending in our contribution to C.A.R.T. So Kim not being here, the other thing that we missed is we did not put the little bill me later papers in the C.A.R.T buckets today. So next week, we will ask for contributions. Anybody who wants to pledge a contribution to C.A.R.T and be billed for that, we'll put those forms out next week so that we can more than double the contributions we've collected so far. And then I'm going to turn it to Steve Teclis as an announcement, and I'm going to call him up before we introduce our program.
Okay, so I feel like I keep coming up here to make these announcements, but it's kind of an interesting day or whatever, but the Robertsons, who have done catering in this building for many, many years, have decided to retire as well. So if y'all would get Chris, actually doesn't want to do this or whatever, but Chris has been an interesting human to get to know for the past couple of years, and just kind of to learn the atmosphere and the vibe and the culture that comes with this building has been a challenge. It really has. And if you ever come here on Sundays, we do an all-you-can-eat buffet every Sunday from 11:30 to 2. It's open to the public, and it's been around for about 30 years. And so the staff is going to stay on, which is amazing. So we're going to continue that tradition. Things are going to continue to happen. Y'all probably wouldn't notice it. We are going to probably switch everything to almond flour and quinoa, and we got rid of the deep fryer. We still have the deep fryer, don't worry. But I do think we need to take time to honor the Robertsons, because y'all have breathed life into this building for many, many years. And from the bottom of my heart, thank y'all so much. The staff got y'all a little gift here to say thank you. And so if y'all will, just give Ms. Chris a You want to say anything?
I'm gonna miss a lot of people,
Yeah.
but things that time.
Gotcha.
I'll probably be looking for maybe a little part-time job or something. But after about 35 years, we're ready. We're ready. But I appreciate it, and I'll be missing a lot of you.
Chris, I wanted to add, we had a Rotary thank you today, but when Kim Cecil wasn't able to make it to Rotary, that didn't make it either. So you'll be getting something additional from Rotary.
Okay.
It's just, that's the way things happen. We just kind of have to pivot a little bit, but Rotary greatly appreciates everything that you and Troy have done to keep us well-fed and make us one of the most popular Rotary meetings to attend in our district. So when people come, over the years, we've always gotten compliments on the food. So thanks to both of you very much.
Thank you.
just for the record, I'll let you repeat, everything will stay in place and continue to happen, okay? So I made that clear, Sundays will still happen, 11:30 to 2. Come see us.
And then before we introduce the speaker, just kind of bear with me a minute. I'm gonna see if I can get some computers changed over. So we're gonna do some unplugging and replugging. So, and birthdays. We're going to do birthdays next week. Is that, and Danny, were you up to do birthdays? Okay, sorry about that. I'll let the time run over a little bit. And, Joseph did remind me. Are you good for next week, Danny, or do we need to move it?
Whatever you say.
He's being very generous today. So thank you for that understanding. So again, kind of bear with me. I can't unplug everything because we will lose our Zoom connection. So I'm just gonna move some things around. John, do you want to make sure everything can come up on this before I plug it up?
Here's our story. We think everything's bad.
I think I may have made it disappear, but we'll get back to it back up. I'm not sure I can do anything else wrong today. There's fruit. Okay. All right, Joseph, while you're standing there, I'm going to have you introduce our program today. Thank you.
Having set up the meeting, played the piano, the next cat dance o'clock. I brought the big guns today. My mother died of Alzheimer's when she was only 60 years old. And lots of you have had your lives touched by people you know and love have passed over Alzheimer's. So I'm so delighted that Tom Fitzgerald could be with us today, and he will introduce the rest of the program. Thank you, Tom.
Great to be back here. I hope y'all remember me last year, but I'm going to be brief because I'm not doing the presentation today. Luckily, earlier this year, I had the pleasure of asking John Revell, who's the C.A.R.T chair of the Asheboro Club, to become my assistant district C.A.R.T chair. And he stepped up, and this is his very first presentation, so y'all be kind. Okay? And I'm proud of what this club does for C.A.R.T and for Alzheimer's research. And with that, Mr. John Revell.
I would say those are big shoes to fill, and I have big feet, so it's probably going to be very hard. And hold on just a minute, let me make sure everything's going to come up here. So this is my first time, and the good news is I'll be able to learn a lot, and I've got Tom here to bail me out if we have a problem. So life is good. Okay, we have that up there. Now somewhere I'm sure I can hit a button that
Hit F5. Hit F5.
F5. Anybody else have an issue with vision?
There you go.
Very good. Okay. So we've already proven I'm not technologically sound. At 74 years old, the technology came late in my life. In dealing with Tom being a specialist computer guy, he has had some challenges in working with me, but I have found out how to release my computer to him and let him do everything and then just give it back to me. So it's almost like spoiling somebody, but it's been a very good deal working with it. A little bit about me. I've been a Rotarian since 1995 in Asheboro. I was being recruited in a previous state that we lived in. We've been around a long time, and we traveled a lot in our earlier days, different companies and different locations. So if you've ever been in Canada, Indiana, or Arkansas, or Alabama, that's sort of our trail back to our roots. She goes a little further back to Wisconsin, but we try not to go there any more than we have to. But we've always had a relationship with civic clubs and with giving and participating in the community. And when we got to Asheboro, Rotary, the Rotary Club of Asheboro, was a perfect match for what we do. We get very engaged in the communities we live in. I was the plant manager at Oliver Rubber Company, so I had a full-time job and worked a lot of hours, and she was my face in the community. So she was United Way, she was Chamber, she was all the things that took a lot of time that I really didn't have at that point in my career. I traveled a lot, so it was we always come as a team. So that's why you see her today. We are a team and have been for 53 years. So it's been a good life. But why are we here to talk about C.A.R.T? Okay? Coins for Alzheimer's Research Trust. I got introduced to it through Gary Earnhardt, which I think was Tom's predecessor. And he did a presentation at Asheboro. And sort of, I have not been to a presentation yet, and you'll probably not suffer through that today, but I've never been able to walk away without tears. The stories are always there. So you don't have to go far to find them. So anyway, then Tom comes along a few years ago, got to know him, went down to Columbia last year, and got to go to the C.A.R.T presentations down there, the annual meeting, and was just overwhelmed at what that did to me and how much it means. You'll see a little bit of that in this presentation. But and then last year, we had another occurrence. Our daughter's been married for 6 years, and her husband was a dermatologist, and he was getting ready to retire. He's had his business sold. He had sold the property that things just happened perfectly, that he was able to get rid of the building, the business, and everything when he was 58 years old. Well, a year later, he was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. So their life has changed significantly. And with that, so is ours. So, as we always do, we are engaged in everything that our family is engaged in. So whenever somebody has an issue, we're going to have that issue too. They have taken the opportunity to not let it get the best of them. They have become huge advocates for taking the cause for treatment and cure of Alzheimer's. And they're part of the Moore County Alzheimer's Association, and they've also done a lot at the state level. They visited our state representatives in Raleigh last week. They were in Washington previously to that, meeting with congressmen and senators there. So they've taken a very strong approach to being positive about trying to find treatment and cure instead of being sad for themselves. Now, they do get plenty of opportunity to weep. They came down and spoke to the Ashboro Club yesterday. And my daughter said that she cried halfway there because they were working on what they were going to say. And she may get it from me, I don't know, but she can be a little emotional, as well as Carter, but they don't try to hide what they feel and where they are. And I think that's very appropriate. But anyway, we're here to talk about C.A.R.T. And as you can see, it was founded in 1995 by Roger Ackerman. And it was at Sumter Club in South Carolina. And it provides seed money for U.S.-based research to find a prevention and treatment or cure for Alzheimer's. Let me see if I can find this button to go forward. C.A.R.T. is a founding member of Alzheimer's Dementia Rotary Action Group, supported by more than 600 Rotary clubs and 40 Rotary districts. Online donor portal for electronic giving is mycartfund.com. And I noticed your buckets don't have the little, what do you call the little thing?
Emblems.
No, that little QR thing.
QR code. Yeah, I couldn't remember that yesterday either. But I do know how to get my QR code reader on my phone. So whenever I talk about C.A.R.T, coins for Alzheimer's research, I like to make it a little broader. So it's coins, cash, credit cards, checks, and now camera. Because you can take a picture of that QR code, and you go right in with your DAC-DB, password, and username, and you can go straight to mycartfund.com. And you can sit right there in your chair, take a picture of that, and make a donation without having to get up. Okay, you can do that as a one-time, just as I think we'll share that in here also. But you can do that as a one-time, or you can sign up to have that on a monthly donation taken out, either on a credit card or out of your bank account, however you choose to do it. So a lot of this gets into some detail, and we're talking about amyloid plaque and tau. It's just a little tau tangles. See, this is how she helps me, and my daughter helps her husband. And I may have later onset Alzheimer's. Anyway, we learned a little bit about that, and some of the people that were recognized and were given grants last year in Columbia are working on a lot of these specific issues. My son-in-law is on one of the first drugs that has been released by the FDA. And he's been on it for probably about 6 months now. And he gets an injection twice a month. And they have seen some progress in slowing down the plaque buildup. And if you think about plaque and the tangles, you think about it more of like a heart issue. We know a lot about clogged arteries. You hear a lot about that in different research and everything around. Well, this is clogging the nerve cells in your brain, okay? So it sort of disrupts the communication between the cells. These are three of the candidates that we actually sat with two of them at lunch last year. It was neat to see those faces again. $300,000 each of these three gals got. And their presentations were just fabulous. I think Tom said the meeting this year was going to be in Charlotte. So if Joseph, if you get a chance to come down, it's really eye-opening to see what's happening in the C.A.R.T. organization. And then there were two other recipients that got $250,000 each. But it all starts with your blue bucket, okay? However you choose as a club to make it work. We try to do, once a month, we will make our weekly donation. We do what's called Happy Bucks. And so instead of going straight to the foundation, we'll divert those funds for that week into the C.A.R.T. fund. So, and then we've had several independent members and non-members. We had one yesterday that had given a $5,000 contribution back in the end of last year. And she had heard the story about our son-in-law. But yesterday was the first time she had met him. And that was a real neat experience. But they're very giving people. They own the 2 radio stations in Asheboro, and they just moved into Asheboro from Atlanta. So they've begun to really invest themselves in the community and make a big deal. So anyway, however you choose, a lot of clubs I know do different things. Some people have jars or whatever in independent businesses around town and allow people to contribute. I have struggled with that a little bit on how I would handle that because I remember back years ago, you'd see that in a lot of the stores you go into. I'm not sure how that works today. When you go in and everybody's all behind plexiglass and you don't really have that personal touch that we used to have when we went into the businesses. So, but, you know, every club is allowed to do what works for them. Now, if you choose to go to the mycart.org, has anybody used that? It's really, even for us technologically dumb people, it's pretty simple. I have been into it and used it. Tom's taught me a little bit about how to get the reports and stuff out of it, so it's been helpful there too. But it's an easy thing to use. It walks you right through the process. Whether you're a Rotarian or not, you can go into this. It's just easy because of using your database username and password. How many of you know your database username? You guys are much like me. If you go into it once and you tell your computer to save it, you never have to think about it again. And I find that is a very easy way to use this database because not many people go surfing to fish in this bucket. So I feel pretty safe having that information out there on my computer where I can just go right in and do that. But it's you know, to me, when you have a great cause, you need easy ways to get in to make it available to people. And again, whether you're a user of the database or it lets you, if you're just a first time using the site, you can go in and be able to do that and just put your information in. And so you don't have to be a Rotarian to go in and make a contribution on the My.C.A.R.T. Fund page. So I need to ask this early on. How many people have friends, relatives, whatever, that have dealt with Alzheimer's? We find that amount of people everywhere we go. I think my daughter yesterday said 1 in 9 North Carolinians suffers with Alzheimer's. So 1 in 9. So you take all the people that are related, it's why you see all these hands up, because we're all dealing with it. And the only way we're going to be able to make a turn in creating more treatments and a potential cure in the future is to continue to support the research. You know, with AI now, the research should really start moving much faster. There's going to be a lot more activity in not only Alzheimer's, but cancer research, a lot of the things that we've been trying to fight for years. You know, I'm 74, and I think about all the change that there's been in my lifetime. And then I just look at the last 5 years, and it's just on steroids. And I'm not on steroids, but the change level is just astronomical into what it used to be. Some of it better than others, but it's all good, because I had a basic thing that I would tell my employees at the plant in Asheboro is, when I first came there, we had 5 plant locations. When I left, there was 1, and that was the plant we were in. But my mantra to them from the time I was there was, you either change or you die. Because you have to be willing to change with the environment you live in, because it will not stay static, as we all know. And we have to be willing and able to change with that. Now, I'm going to open it up and say, do you have any questions? And then I'm going to lean heavily this way if I don't know the answer. Anybody have any questions?
It's not a question, it's a comment. Y'all, somebody familiar with Fox, the 5, and Dan, particularly Dan Marino, who worked under Bush. I don't know if you happen to see this, I don't watch it a lot, but I just happened to watch at the end of the year when they were going around the table and looking at something optimistic in 2025. And so they were all commenting, what do you think you might see in 2025? Dana Perino said, I think we'll find a cure for Alzheimer's. And I thought, wow, of all the things she could have picked out and said, she must know something.
Yeah.
And, or is, she's optimistic. And I just, that was a wow moment. I thought, I wish Rotary would get her connected, and she obviously has some reason to have said that.
I'm sure something in her sphere that she works in has given her some information that gave her that hope and optimism. We feel a great deal of hope and optimism because we're seeing the results of the medication that our son-in-law is having, and it's obvious to us. Now, if you were to have him up here, he'd be speaking like me, a little slower, stuttering a little bit, and nervous. But when we have him in our home, if we have all of our kids and grandchildren, which when we're all together, there's 14 of us, when we're all in there together, he struggles a little bit because he can't divert his attention in all of those directions. But if he comes and sits at that table and he's dealing with those people or just the ones next to him, then you might not even know he's having a problem. So we're hoping that the medication that stops the spread of the plaque, and eventually we'll start to make it go away. That's something that we're hoping to see over time. But that's why I'm very optimistic with AI, that the speed at which research is going to be able to go is going to be a lot faster. And I think some of the efforts from some of the researchers last year were setting up the programming in order to be able to collect everybody and manage where that development could move at a faster pace. We've been dealing with cancer most of our married life, so this is just another step. Let's bring on the next umbrella and let's solve the next issue. So.
And John or Tom, either one, do you guys still prefer the club contribution for us to go online and do that through an ACH transaction?
Let me address that quickly for you. We ask all our clubs towards the end of every quarter, if you've accrued funds in your buckets or whatever way you do it, to do a transfer on the mycardfund.org. So the treasurer would log on, whether Jackie be logging. And by the way, when you log into that portal, it automatically identifies you as a member of the Thomasville Rotary Club. So any donation that you make is automatically credited to this club. I want to make a comment about the 2 biomarkers that were shown up there. the animal waste plants in the town of Chambers. There's not conclusive evidence yet that removal of those is going to stop or even cure it. The reason being, they have found in autopsies of elderly people in their 90s, or some even over 100, that never had Alzheimer's or dementia, the brains are full of town tangles and animal waste plaques. So there's something else, and that's why the research continues until we identify the root cause that is triggering the plaques and the town tangles. We can't fix it. So what makes C.A.R.T different than just about any other fundraising organization is that 100% of donated funds goes to research. Not one penny goes to overhead. None of us are paid. None of us are reimbursed for any of our expenses. There is a sister organization called TRAC, which is C.A.R.T backwards, and that actually pays, the only person in the organization that's paid the executive director, Tiffany Irvin. So every penny that you put in those buckets, or no matter how you raise your money, goes to those researchers you see every year that we have the privilege of listening to. And let me tell you what, they speak at a level far higher than I am, or he is. And most of the time we have to sit down with them like we did at dinner and ask exactly what are we talking about, because they're into things that far beyond my knowledge base. But I want to thank this club for your efforts, and Joseph for being such a great C.A.R.T chair and advocate for the organization. And hopefully we'll see you again next year.
So Tom, John, thank you for the program. Nancy, wonderful to have you with us today. Also, Adam, thank you for putting your application in. Tim, good to have you with us. Are there any other announcements for the good of Rotary? I will ask you guys to stand as we recite the four-way test. And I don't have it on the slide, so I'm not switching computers over, but it is on the wall over here. Of all the things we think, say, or do, first,
Is it truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?